We got Lou here. He's getting ready for the Arnold XPC Finals. So this is kind of your first like big meet, right? So
only big meet I've done. I've done just local meets before this.
So up and coming kind of equipped lifter, which is cool. Tell us a little bit about like how today went and kind of maybe what the goal today was and kind of what was going through your head today. So you hit 800 pound, 805.
Warm up.
Very good, strong single, which is I think that's like the most you've done in the gym. You've done a little bit more in competition. So tell us a little bit how like the workout went and kind of like what like the goal. What was like the intent like coming into today?
Well, when you wrote my peaking program for this meet, I was a little nervous only getting in full gear one time.
Right.
But you sort of convinced me saying, oh, you have the skill for it. So, I normally have a little more trouble getting into my suit, but I wasn't as bloated today, which was good, so everything fit real nice. The goal for today was hit like a projected third attempt with a reverse band, and typically how meets have gone in the past, the last 2 multiply meets I've done, my third attempt will be
it was pretty dead on.
Whatever I take with a
pretty dead on.
Yeah, whatever I take with a reverse band is my third attempt.
That's typically like how we do things. And that's usually a sign of a good peak. And I think kind of like sometimes it's hard to like trust this process, especially if you're a beginning lifter. Like sometimes you get nervous because you haven't like necessarily like truly like handled that weight in the gym. So I know like last meet, I don't think we really went past maybe 770 maybe.
I took 780 reverse band, and then I took. I think a few weeks later I took 820 reverse band.
But I'm saying
but I've never straight weight. Oh no,
so I don't
I've
think
never gone past.
This is the first time I'm hitting 800 in the gym, and I know like last meet you end up finishing with an 820, which moved great. So I think that's really a testament to obviously like there is, if you can really fine tune that peaking process, it can be a little bit different for everyone. And like I said, especially with powerlifting gear when you're in equipment, sometimes there's a lot more skill component to it. So there's a fine balance between kind of building strength and like testing your strength,
right.
And working the skill, obviously. So a lot of times, like in the suit, when we're in full equipment, we've been kind of advocating of not too much variation. But if we're in briefs or something, or suit bottoms and things like that, we'll vary the lifts a little bit more, and that's a little bit more of like kind of building the strength or kind of And the reverse band is definitely a great way to just have. It's definitely I think there's some physical benefit to it. You're loading your spine, you're feeling that weight at the top. But also you're gaining that confidence that at least you've kind of visually seen that weight on the bar, you've handled it, you've felt it, and it's kind of just helping you a little bit in that bottom range of motion, so it's not going to beat you up as much as obviously, because you could, maybe you could the way 800 moved today, I think 850 still would have went, but obviously there's more of a cost to taking 850 straight up, full range of motion versus a reverse band.
Right, and in that compromised position, especially at the bottom, I don't want maximal load. It's still in training. I'm still 3 weeks out, and I just don't need that in my life right now to be super beat up on top of work and school and everything. Training's been tough, but I like the reverse band for that reason. When I came here, I didn't love the reverse band, just because it was new to me. I wasn't a fan at first, but now that I'm seeing it has merit.
The application
for sure.
And I think even like Lou's an 800 pound lifter, and we only use like a Monster Mini. I think a lot of the stuff maybe you see on the internet, people are like hanging these giant
huge reverse
Godzilla bands from the ceiling, and it gets so far out from like what's possible, from what you can do. It doesn't really have as much like transfer and much carryover.
Right.
So I think even like a Monster Mini and mini band, even if you're like maybe a really new lifter or a female that's super, maybe you're very new, like even a micro mini, like so if you're like 100, you're only benching 100 pounds, something that gives you 5 or 10 pound boost, that's a 5 or 10% increase, so if this Monster Mini, maybe it's helping you, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds in the bottom, it's kind of like a similar kind of carryover and trade-off. So you got to kind of think of percentages and things like that.
And if I'm being honest, I honestly couldn't feel the deload in the bottom. I don't know if it was just a lot of other variables, but it still felt like the previous set 805 or 800. It felt the same. So it doesn't take off much, maybe just for me, that I have a very short range of motion squat, so it could be that, but whatever I felt at the top,
obviously the lower you go and stuff, it's gonna help a little bit. It's gonna give you a little bit more.
Right.
Just for the people watching out there, maybe they're like don't understand like the suits and stuff. Like what kind of made you gravitate toward doing multiply lifting and equipped lifting, and what was like kind of attracted you to that, and like what would you say for people watching? Like how could you explain like the difference between what you're doing now and what you were doing previously, like raw?
Well, I started off as a raw lifter 4 years ago. After about 2 years raw lifting, I did a few competitions. I decided to get into single ply equipment. My previous coach had done a single ply meet, and I said, well, that looks cool. I want to try it.
Let's try it, yeah.
So the training was very hard. It was something completely new to me, and I liked the challenge of it. It was way harder than raw lifting, way harder.
Sure.
You know, you have to be a technician in order to even, get to depth, touch your chest, pull yourself to the bar, deadlifting.
Yeah.
So then I did a couple more raw meets, and then decided it was time to pull the trigger and do some real big boy lifting. And I got into multiply gear, and then I came here, and then we've been kicking ass since then. So
the way I always like to explain it, it's kind of like it's not exactly the same an apples to apples comparison, but like
absolutely not.
But if you have you could have a foot race, you could race on a bicycle, you could race in like NASCAR. They're all like races, but they're very different.
They're very
obviously, I would say when you're talking about like the more equipment you add, so like if you go from raw with wraps, single ply, multiply, the more of a skill component there is. So you are lifting weights, but it's really like a completely different sport. And I think that as people get older, and obviously you're a younger lifter, but as you get older, one thing that's allowed me to not only be mentally fresh, but also physically fresh. Sometimes you get a little bit beat up and stuff. Just that change of pace of like putting gear on sometimes. It just kind of keeps you going, and it's a new challenge. So if you feel like maybe sometimes you make it to a point where maybe raw lifting is stale, or you hit a plateau, whatever, trying out some gear, some single ply, and even if it's a single lift meet or something, could be a great thing. So it's a great job today. We'll definitely get you back on in the future, like probably meet after the Arnold to kind of recap how you did. But we just want to give you like a little sneak peek. Obviously, regardless of equipment or not, when you see like 800-pound lifts, is like it's 800 pounds on your back or 800 pounds in your hands. Still very impressive. So
strong is strong.
We're definitely proud of your progress, and we're looking forward to see what you can do on the platform. Cool. So, good work.
We're going! Give me a beer.